Have you heard the bad news? He either doesn't exist, or he hates you, or he's a paedophile. Now, I realise that's quite a lot to take on board early doors, and some of you seem to be shocked into silence there. But I'll start by telling you a bit about myself to give it a bit of context. I was born Jewish, I was raised Catholic. My dad was Jewish, my mum was Catholic. Now, let's say I was raised Catholic by my mum, but I never really stopped being Jewish. Judaism, I'm not sure if you know, it's the only religion from which, once you're born into it, there is no escape whatsoever. In that respect, ironically, it's a little like the religious equivalent of Camp Auschwitz. Now, as I say, I was raised Catholic by my mum. One of the very first things that she impressed upon me was the doctrine of God's omnipotence and omnipresence, the idea that God is all-knowing, all-seeing. He's all places at all times. He knows what you're doing, he knows what you're thinking. He's watching you whilst you masturbate, leering down at you from heaven like a red-faced holy Phil Mitchell, which at first is a kind of unsettling image, but after a while begins to add a little bit more frisson to the whole procedure. Now, as I say, I kind of was brought up Catholic by my mum. I went to Catholic school, where they continue to force a lot of religious dogma down my throat. But looking back on it now, and having spoke to a few of my school friends over Facebook and Friends Reunited and stuff like that, kind of glad that was the only thing that was getting forced down my throat back at the time. As I say, ironically, it was that doctrine of God's omnipotence, omnipresence, that at first inspired such fear of God in me that later actually sowed the seeds of my disillusionment with God. Because I noticed that when God first started out in the God business, when he was new to the game, he was primarily interested with the needs of the weak and the sick and the needy, like a regular Godvara, you might say, if you were a twat. These days he only really seems to be interested in hanging around with and glorifying the rich and the successful, the rappers and the sports stars and the R&B stars who are always giving props to God and giving a shout out to God whenever they do something well. You never really see anyone coming out and blaming God, do you? Conversely, when they miss a penalty or something like that, never say, fucking Jesus at the very last second moved the ball, maybe sky it in the final of the Champions League a couple of years ago. John Terry's a twat. Never really see anyone blaming God for the bad things that happen, do you? Never really see God involved in the genocides, unless it's one he's specifically ordered. You never really see him involved in, stopping sexual abuse or institutionalised sexual abuse or institutionalised sexual abuse within the Catholic Church. Never really see him intervening in those sort of things. And yet we're taught to believe that God is all places, at all times, all-knowing, all-seeing. Which by logical extension must mean, if God is all places at all times, he must have been there that very first occasion. Joseph Fritzl led his daughter Elizabeth by the hand down to that cellar, step by step, side by side, every step of the way. Remember, he's all places at all times. He's probably there saying, at very best, I am a passive, casual observer to incestual sexual abuse over the course of 20 years. He's right there saying, I'm just going to take a few pictures, then fuck off. But probably best if you never ever mention I was here to anyone, ever. But why is there no mention of child pornography in the Bible? If God is not bound by space or time, he really should have had the foresight to see into our time now, where child pornography is such a great sin. An outlaw, specifically outlaw by name, child pornography, and yet it's nowhere to be seen. And it's not just the Bible as well. Before anyone thinks I'm just picking on Catholics, why the fuck would I do that? It's not there in the Torah or the Quran or Tom Cruise's bumper book of the unexplained. Absolutely nowhere does it show up. And yet we're to believe that God is all places and all times. Well, why doesn't he outlaw these modern sins? Why is there no mention of child pornography or happy slapping or sitting on the train and playing your shitty music through your shitty phone to your shitty mates through your shitty speakers like a shit wank twat? Why is there none of that in there? We can only come back to those three conclusions I outlined for you at the very top. Number one, God does not exist. The whole thing's been a lie. The greatest lie ever told, but a lie nevertheless. The whole thing has been a big bullshit cake. It doesn't matter what slice of the cake you've had, it's still been bullshit. Number two, God hates us all. He got depressed very early on with the project. He's up there now, every single day, playing Championship Manager to all hours, getting in 3 wanks a day before his mum gets home, just like the rest of us did when we were teenagers. Or number three, God is a paedophile. And maybe, just maybe, that's what Michael Jackson was trying to tell us all along. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's Matt Hyams, everyone. Give him one more time. Fantastic act.